Next, I want to talk about dealer insurance. The state of Texas requires every motor vehicle driven on any roadway to be insured, including the demos and all service vehicles that are owned by your dealership. It is illegal to drive any motor vehicle in Texas without proof of insurance or some type of financial responsibility. It's also illegal for any motor vehicle owner, such as a dealer, to allow anyone else to drive the owner's vehicles, such as allowing your customers to drive your demos without insurance. Before you purchase any inventory to resell, you must obtain an insurance policy, sometimes referred to as a dealer insurance policy, or sometimes it's called a dealer garage policy. Dealer insurance is a special type of business insurance that is quite unique in nature, and that it covers you when your customers are out test driving your motor vehicles. It's going to cover you when an employee or yourself is driving a vehicle back and forth from an auction. It's also going to cover you if someone is injured while on your lot. It's got medical coverage built into it as well. Very, very protective of you once you have your dealer's license. Many insurance agents do not sell dealer insurance. You might call your insurance agent to find out if they carry dealer insurance, and if they do not, you will need to contact an insurance agency that specializes in commercial coverage. Be sure they can explain the best type of coverage for you and your dealership. Dealer insurance pricing normally depends on the location of your dealership. So the closer you are to like a metropolitan area, the higher your rates are going to be. Your experience. Dealers with the least amount of experience tend to pay the highest rates, but normally when you've got some experience under your belt, you might see a dramatic reduction in your policy pricing. And it's also dependent on the number of dealer license plates that you possess. So the lower number of dealer plates you have, normally dealer insurance tends to be lower as well. Dealer insurance, however, can be quite expensive, but however, once you become an established dealer and begin generating profits, you will find that dealer insurance is really only a small part of your operational expenses. There are several types of dealer insurance, such as dealer liability, dealer's open lot, garage keepers, errors and omissions, employment practices, workers' compensation, and false pretense. Let's first talk about dealer liability, or sometimes we call it garage liability. If your customer wrecks your demo into another vehicle, it will only cover the other vehicle because it's dealer liability. So always remember, dealer liability does not cover your property at any time. It always covers someone else's property, and it tends to be the cheapest way to get started in the business as well. But I always recommend either starting out or shortly thereafter. You might think of it as full coverage, but this next type of insurance is what we call dealer's open lot. Dealer's open lot. Dealer's open lot does not cover a specific amount of vehicles on your lot. It covers a dollar amount. So let's just say, for example, you have $50,000 worth of inventory on your lot. You need $50,000 worth of open lot coverage because the state of Texas has tornadoes, hails, hailstorms. Remember just a couple of years ago when Hurricane Harvey hit the Gulf Coast of Texas, flooded Houston, and about 1.2 million vehicles sat underneath water for a couple of days. And if you can ever imagine, throwing a computer into a bathtub for a couple of days and thinking it's going to work afterwards, well, there's really no difference between that and a vehicle. So, your inventory can be damaged by wind, natural disasters, and dealer's open lot will normally cover you in cases of theft as well. So, I have seen more than one dealer go into financial ruin because they did not have enough coverage on their inventory. So be sure to always carry enough coverage for your inventory. Another type of insurance you might look into is what we refer to as garage keepers. This covers vehicles that are owned by a customer that's leaving their vehicle with you for repairs. So if you maintain a garage, you definitely need garage keepers insurance. Errors and omissions. Errors and omissions insurance covers a dealer that failed to comply with the Federal Truth in Lending Act, or maybe made an error in paperwork submitted to the Department of Motor Vehicles, or maybe failed accidentally to disclose prior damage during a title search. So that's called errors and omissions. It can be very advantageous for you to have errors and omissions in the business that you're getting ready to start. Another type of insurance you might look into is called employment practices liability. This provides coverage against sexual harassment lawsuits, wrongful termination of an employee, wage payment disputes, deprivation of career opportunity, and discrimination as well. So, if you have employees, you might certainly talk to your insurance agent about employment practices liability insurance. Workers' compensation. Workers' compensation insurance provides coverage in case of workplace injury to an employee. And, we are going to delve in this extensively later on. We've got a whole section on workers' compensation that we will cover here in your dealer training course in just a little while. Another type of insurance is called false pretense. And sometimes this is mixed up with errors and omissions, but it is a completely different type of policy. False pretense covers a dealer that maybe purchased a vehicle from someone that did not have the legal selling rights. And it would also cover when, say, for example, a customer purchases a vehicle from the dealer in a fraudulent manner by using a stolen ID. So definitely talk to your insurance agent about false pretense as well. You need to be aware, any dealer in Texas that does not maintain financial responsibility on service vehicles or drives a demo or allows a customer to drive a demo without financial responsibility could face severe financial and civil penalties. Now, where do you find dealer insurance? Well, you're not going to log on to Progressive or Geico and get a policy. You're not even going to be able to get an insurance policy from your State Farm agent. Normally, personal agents don't normally sell any type of dealer coverage. You might contact your current insurance agent, or you can ask other dealers, or you can always do a quick, easy internet search. And I always like to use Google. So if you're using Google, you can type in Texas Dealer Insurance. And as you can see here, there are several companies that will assist you and want to earn your business when it comes to dealer insurance. So always make sure that you have your inventory insured and any type of service vehicles as well. You're not required to have this insurance before you get your dealer's license, but you will need it before you start purchasing any type of inventory or service vehicles. Next, I want to talk about your mandatory retail contract, or sometimes we refer to this as a bill of sale. Every retail and wholesale sale of a motor vehicle must be preceded by a written contract that contains all the agreements of the parties and shall be signed by the buyer and the seller. I want to repeat that information. Every retail and wholesale sale of a motor vehicle must be preceded by a written contract that contains all the agreements of the parties and shall be signed by both the buyer and the seller. Also, if financing is involved, state law requires you to have a retail installment contract, which can be printed if you're using any type of dealer management software. If financing is not involved, then you must still have some type of written retail contract or a bill of sale. The bill of sale clarifies the terms of the motor vehicle transaction in writing, and they are mandatory on every transaction. A bill of sale is going to need to include the date of the sale, the vehicle description, which would include the year, make, and model. You've always got to have your vehicle identification number on your bill of sale, and that's going to be your VIN. The name and address of the person that's purchasing the vehicle. You've always got to have that sales price on a bill of sale. All other fees and charges that are in the total cost of the vehicle, including trade-in, payoff of the trade-in, extended warranty, documentary fees, or any type of insurance, etc. And here you see just a sample bill of sale. A bill of sale can easily be printed from any dealer management software that you might be using. You can also purchase bills of sale from most dealer auctions, or you might have your attorney draw you up one. A bill of sale, or that retail installment contract that we'll talk about in our finance section a little bit later on, are required on every transaction. Once again, a bill of sale is required on every single deal. Next, I want to cover odometer disclosure and odometer tampering. On January 1st of 2021, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration changed the model year exemption for vehicles from 10 years to 20 years. Under the new law, you must disclose odometer information for 2011 and newer model years until the vehicle is 20 years old. A vehicle that is 2010 or older became exempt when it was 10 years old. Here you see a graph that will easily explain the new law. As you see, a 2008 model year vehicle would become exempt when it is 10 years old. So a 2008 model year became exempt from odometer disclosure requirements on January 1st of 2018. A 2009 model year vehicle became exempt on January 1st of 2019. A 2010 vehicle became exempt on January 1st of 2020. Now, this is where the model year exemption changes under the new law. A 2011 vehicle does not become exempt until it is 20 years old. So a 2011 vehicle does not become exempt until January 1st of 2031. A 2012 vehicle does not become exempt until January 1st of 2032. See how that works? A 2013 vehicle does not become exempt until January 1st of 2033. The dealer is required by law to disclose the odometer reading at the time of the sale. The odometer reading is not needed on vehicles that have a gross vehicle weight of more than 16,000 pounds or is maybe sold by a manufacturer directly to an agency of the United States government, is not self-propelled, or is a new motor vehicle prior to its transfer to the first retail purchaser. Dealers must disclose odometer information on any vehicle that is not exempt at the time of the sale. All electronic title applications must have an odometer disclosure. All title applications require odometer disclosure if the vehicle is not exempt. And the disclosure occurs on a secure document such as a title, a dealer reassignment, or a secure power of attorney. As a licensed Texas motor vehicle dealer, you must be aware of odometer brands and what constitutes odometer tampering and odometer tampering penalties. And here you see on the following chart, it displays different types of odometer brands according to the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System. And this is a federal title database that we will cover extensively later on in the course. So you definitely need to be aware of the different types of brands. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 450,000 vehicles are sold every year with false odometer readings. This crime costs the American car buyer more than $1 billion annually. I want you to know how to spot odometer fraud, how to protect yourself against it, and you certainly need to know who to contact if you ever think that you're a victim of this illegal behavior. Digital odometers are actually harder to identify when they've had tampering than an old mechanical odometer since they have no moving parts. A vehicle's condition and a detailed history report are the best clues a buyer has for determining whether an odometer has been tampered with. Here on the screen, you see some helpful tips that may help you detect whether or not a vehicle has had its odometer tampered with. It can be difficult, but it's not impossible to detect when a vehicle's odometer has been altered. Always ask to see the vehicle's title and compare it to the mileage that's listed on the odometer itself. Inspect the title closely and see if there's anything that seems to be obscured or maybe it's hard to read on the mileage section. Compare the mileage on the odometer with the mileage reported on the vehicle's maintenance or inspection records. When possible, also check the mileage listed on oil change and maintenance stickers. And these stickers can usually be found on the windshield or maybe on a door frame or in the glove box, or sometimes they're even under the hood. If the vehicle has a traditional mechanical odometer, check that the numbers on the odometer gauge are aligned correctly. If these numbers are crooked or if they contain gaps or jiggle when you hit the dash with your hand, the vehicle may have been subjected to odometer tampering. Inspect the tires and measure the depth of the tread. If the odometer reads 20,000 miles or less, then the vehicle should have the original tires. I always suggest running a vehicle history report with the National Motor Vehicle Title Information System, and I'll show you how to do that here in just a little while. Resetting, disconnecting, or altering a vehicle's odometer to conceal the true mileage is known as odometer tampering. It is illegal for anyone to engage in odometer tampering or sell a vehicle knowing the odometer has been altered without informing the purchaser in writing. Dealers are strictly prohibited from fraudulently tampering with an odometer to reduce the number of miles indicated on the odometer. This is a federal and state law with serious criminal penalties. Besides the criminal penalties, a person could be permanently denied a dealer's license upon such a conviction. Dealers should exercise extreme caution when purchasing used vehicles with low mileage and expect them for signs of odometer tampering. Under federal law, persons found guilty of numerous incidents of odometer fraud have been sentenced up to 9 years in prison and fined more than $400,000. Odometer fraud is never tolerated by the state of Texas or the United States government. Failure to comply with odometer disclosure and odometer tampering laws could lead to the revocation of your dealer's license along with extensive penalties. Sales to minors. The legal age at which a person becomes competent to enter into a contract in Texas is 18 years old. No person under the age of 18 years can purchase or sell a vehicle in Texas without a parent, legal guardian, or other person that has legal custody. A contract to purchase a vehicle signed by anyone younger than 18 years old is invalid and may be voided. If you sold a vehicle to a minor, they could release themselves from the sales contract, return that vehicle, and recover the vehicle purchase price, even though that vehicle has possibly been wrecked or deteriorated in value. Worst case scenario, you could sell, say, for example, a motorcycle to some 17-year-old kid that gives you $5,000 in cash. And this kid could ride that motorcycle down the street and total it out. And the law would allow him to basically drag that back into your dealership, and you would have to give him the entire purchase price back. And you would have absolutely no legal or financial recourse against that person because they were not old enough to sign legally binding contracts. So you always want to make sure that someone on the deal is at least 18 years of age when signing all vehicle documentation.